Hi everyone, I'm Merryn.
And I'm Laura, and welcome to Your Health Now.
So today Laura and I thought we'd discuss sleep, which is such a big issue for so many people across all age groups.
And it affects your health, your quality of life,
Absolutely.
weight loss, everything.
Everything.
So it's so important to address.
That's right. So Laura and I both see a lot of people who tell us that they have sleep issues. So first of all, we might just have a quick chat about problems getting to sleep. So a lot of people tell me that they have problems getting to sleep. And I think one of the issues for a lot of people is that they tell me there's so much in their head. They're just thinking. Their brain is going crazy. They can't really slow down their thought processes to relax and go to sleep. So there's some great strategies for dealing with that. And one of them I like to call brainstorming. So I suggest that people get their laptop or a piece of paper or a diary or whatever they feel comfortable with, and then do what I call brainstorming, where they write down every single thing that's in their head or has been in their head, with all the possible solutions to those issues that keep cropping up. Because one of the strategies in your brain to help you remember things is to repeat, to put things on repeat. So if there's an important issue that you're worried about, then that will actually keep repeating in your thought processes as a memory strategy so that you don't forget about it. Now, if you've actually written it down or documented it somewhere and thought through it, so like I said, put down all the possible solutions to that issue that keeps cropping up, then you can actually say to your brain, I've written this down. I've thought about this. I don't need to keep thinking about it. You can just calm down, forget about it. It's all down on paper or, electronically, what have you. And it does take a bit of training, but after a while, your brain realizes, hang on a minute, I don't need to remember those things anymore because they're written down, they're sorted out.
And it's such an important strategy. We lead such busy lives.
That's right,
nowadays,
exactly.
and you have to find a way to cope with all of that.
That's right. Now, that being said, when you do go to bed, you actually still need some record so that you can write down anything that does crop up once you're in bed. So if you go to bed and there's a new issue that crops up, or there's another solution or another part of a problem that you've already written down, but you haven't put that particular detail in, then you do need to add that, because otherwise that new thought will keep going around and around and around. So you do need to make sure you've still got your phone or piece of paper or anything near you so that you can, once you go to bed, quickly write that down. But then again, tell your brain, no, it's okay, it's done, it's sorted, I don't need to go there again. So that's one process that can be done. Now, the other thing is having what we call a sleep hygiene routine, or having a sleep regimen or sleep routine. And this, again, just gets your brain used to the fact that, hang on a minute, I need to be getting ready now to sleep. So we suggest that you individualize this. So find the things that work for you. So Laura, what's a part of your bedtime routine? Like, what would you do to get ready for bed?
Yeah, so every night I wash my face, I put on my face and my hand cream,
Yep.
and I get into bed and I read my book.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. Okay, so having a routine, really, really important. And for different people, that means different things. So some people might have a hot drink, but if you're likely to need to get up and go to the toilet in the night, you might not be wanting to do that. We suggest that you avoid showers or baths or anything, because they do tend to stimulate a lot of people. But some people tell me it really relaxes them, and that's part of their night routine. So this is where it's tailored to the individual. Again, you might clean your teeth, do a face routine, what have you, get into your pajamas. Now, when you go to bed, we say bed is for sleeping and sex, and that's it. So there's no reading, there's no watching TV, there's no, playing on your smartphone or smart devices or anything else. If you want to read like Laura, I bet you any money she does this, you don't do it in your sleep position.
So, no, always sitting up.
But not in the place where you sleep. So you can't be sitting up reading in the place where you sleep.
Oh, that's exactly what I do.
What we suggest you do, because this actually works, to let your brain know that you're in a different position when you sleep, yeah? So if you want to read or watch TV or whatever, you can do that in the bedroom. It's better if you don't, but you can do it in the bedroom, but you need to be in a unique position that is not your sleep position. So that might mean that you lie on the bed so that you're facing in the opposite direction to your sleep position, or it may be that you sit on the edge of the bed, or you sit in a chair or a couch or something, but you're not in that same spot where you sleep, because that's really important for your brain to go, oh, hang on, this is my sleep position, this is where I sleep. I don't read here.
Interesting.
I don't watch
Okay.
TV here. I don't do anything else here. So that's really important. Now, if you're one of those people who absolutely can go to sleep, no worries at all after reading in your sleep position, that's not an issue for you. But if there's any problem getting to sleep for anyone, this is what we recommend, is not doing anything in that sleep position that might just confuse your brain as to what you do in that spot.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah. So that's, the sleep hygiene routine, really important. Not doing anything in your bed except for sleep or sex, unless you're in, a unique position on the bed or, different spot, that kind of thing. Really important. Obviously, caffeine. So most people will find that if they have caffeine within 6 hours of going to bed, that may well affect their ability to go to sleep. Alcohol's another big one. So some people say to me, oh, I like to have a nightcap because it makes me sleepy. And yes, it can make you sleepy, but unfortunately, it can also completely disrupt your sleep architecture. And by that, I mean it can actually interrupt your REM sleep, which is your deep, refreshing, rejuvenating, and often dream sleep, which is so important for a good night's sleep. So alcohol is not a good idea before bed, and neither is caffeine or any other stimulating kinds of drinks or foods. So remember, things like chocolate and other foods with caffeine or stimulants in them should also be avoided in that kind of 4 to 6 hour window before going to bed. So the other thing is waking up in the night. So some people tell me that waking up in the night is a big issue for them. And there's a couple of different approaches to this. So first of all, the question really is, why are you waking up at night? So Laura, what are some of the things that people tell you they're waking up at night for?
Well, one of the most common is that they have to wake up and use the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's probably by far the most. And sometimes it's just stressful kind of thoughts.
Yeah.
Or a good portion of people just wake up and they're not quite sure why.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you're waking up to go to the toilet in the night, sometimes that's completely normal for men and women to need to get up and go to the bathroom in the night. And again, that depends on how much you've had to drink before you went to bed, fluid-wise, all of those kind of things. And also if you pull any fluid. So if you tend to have swelling at the end of the day in your ankles or your legs, then that fluid will actually be reabsorbed once you go to bed. And that means that you may well need to get up in the night to go to the toilet. Now, sometimes we get a little bit worried about this medically. So if you're getting up to go to the toilet a lot in the night, we always suggest that you see your healthcare practitioner and get that looked into. But otherwise, getting up in the night, once is okay for a lot of people. The waking up early in the morning, so there's a thing that we call early morning wakening. If someone's waking up every night between, say, 1 and 3 or 1 and 4 in the morning, and they're not in that habit, generally it's a new thing, and there's a lot of stress or worry in their lives, then we do think about conditions such as depression or anxiety, and so they need to be checked out as well. Interestingly, though, when you look at the sleep literature and you speak to the sleep experts, they all explain that there is an evolutionary protective mechanism to waking up in the night. And I think this is something we've forgotten, because in our more developed world, we think that we should be going to bed and sleeping solidly until the next morning. Now, the sleep experts are telling us that's actually not correct. And if you do that, that's fine. But if you don't do that, back in the kind of days of cavemen and cave women, we were actually programmed to wake up several times in the night to check on the children, to check on the safety of the people in our community, and maybe even to check a fire or what have you. So waking up in the night in itself is not always an issue. Perhaps waking up in the night and not being able to get back to sleep is an issue. So again, that might be something that needs to be looked at. And the thing that I think we're finding out more and more is that a sleep routine is very important if you are able to have one, such as, going to bed between a certain period of time and then waking up in a certain period of time and working out how much sleep you really need. There's a couple of tricks to working out how much sleep you really need. So Laura, have you ever done that? Have you ever tried to work out how much sleep you need?
No, I haven't, but I figured out how much little sleep I can survive on. But
That's right.
And through that process, I need about 6 hours.
Okay, yeah.
To really feel kind of human.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think this is the other thing that Laura's getting at here, is that in our very connected world at the moment, so many of us are not getting enough sleep. And there are a lot of things that contribute to that. A lot of us have small children waking us up in the night, or, other kind of environmental things that are not within our control. And that's fine. But if you wanted to see what your sleep requirements are, then a good way to do that is to, first of all, get rid of any what we call sleep deficits. So to try and have a really good sleep, where you kind of catch up, if you like, or a few catch-up sleeps if possible, to try and get rid of any of that kind of fatigue and sleep deficit. And then when you've done that, to go to bed at a time that you think is going to be a good time for you optimally, socially, and also, related to what you know about your body already. And then don't set an alarm, and then record what time you wake up and how many hours sleep you had. And if you can, try to do that for a couple of nights, preferably a few nights in a row, and you can see then how many hours of sleep your body is needing. If you find the first night it's 9 hours and then the next night it's 7 and the next night it's 6, it may well be that you had a sleep deficit still on that first night. So you just need to make sure that you've gotten rid of the sleep deficit first before you try and work that out. But when you work that out, you may well find that extremely useful for trying to ensure that you get to bed at a certain time and wake up, within a certain time frame as well that fits in with your other life commitments. So that's often a nice strategy to make sure you're getting enough sleep, but also that it works for you. Now, shift work is a whole nother question altogether. And there's been a lot of research into shift workers. And
it's a really big struggle. It's very,
Absolutely.
very hard. I've done it myself. I think you have too.
That's right.
It's not easy, definitely.
No, and there are some professions where people are required to do shift work their entire working lives. And different organisations have different shift lengths and roster structures, and quite a lot of research has gone into that. But that's really a whole nother area that we won't get into just at the moment. So the other thing is, what sleep aids are there to help you when it comes to getting a good night's sleep? So Laura, what are some of the sleep treatments that you know of?
Well, I know of melatonin.
Yes. Yeah.
You know that's a big one.
Yeah.
And then there's different names for different drugs in different countries, but I know of Ambien as one. And I don't think I'm familiar with too many others.
Okay. And I think this is actually a really good conversation to have, because we really haven't had any good long-term sleep aids when it comes to medication without a lot of side effects. So melatonin is a wonderful example of a natural therapy, if you like, and it's used because melatonin is our natural hormone that gives us a sleep-wake cycle, and there's what we call a circadian rhythm with melatonin. So when we wake up, the level is at its lowest. There's actually a peak of melatonin after lunch, and so I love the fact that in many communities around the world they have a siesta, which capitalizes on this circadian melatonin rhythm. and then they get up and go again as the melatonin level drops down. And then later on that night, as the melatonin level rises, they're ready for bed and they go to sleep. So using melatonin as a sleep aid can be highly effective, and we'll often use that half an hour before bed. We try and use it again at a similar time each night, and usually only for 2 to 3 weeks, just to try and reset our melatonin circadian rhythm. And it can be very helpful in jet lag and travel and that kind of thing. It's not really a long-term solution. A lot of the effects can wear off after 2 to 3 weeks, although remember there's still the placebo effect, which is about 30% for any 20 to 30% for any medication. So, that's another possibility. You could be getting a placebo effect if it works beyond the 2 to 3 weeks. The other medication that you mentioned is a benzodiazepine, I think. And the benzodiazepines have been used for many, many years, and you may well know them as Valium or there's a whole lot of different names, Seropax, what have you. The problem with those medications is, although they're very, very effective, some of them can have a hangover effect in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah. So some people can wake up feeling groggy, still a bit tired, a bit fuzzy in the head. So that's a bit of an issue if you've got to get up and go the next morning, particularly if you've got to drive. There are some shorter acting forms of those medications designed so that when you do wake up, you shouldn't have those hangover effects. But the problem with all of those class of drugs is that they are addictive, and they both have physical and psychological addiction components to them. So we tend to only use them short term to try and get people back into a sleep routine and then wean them or stop them. There's there's a couple of new medications. Again, I think Stilnox is quite well known in Australia, and it's been used for quite a few years now, but it does have a fairly high side effect profile. Again, people may be aware of there being some news reports of people having behaviour that's out of keeping with their normal behaviour when they've taken this medication and that kind of thing. So we're a little bit careful with that. There's a brand new class of drugs out called orexin inhibitors, orexin receptor inhibitors or orexin receptor blockers. And orexin is, again, one of our sleep wakefulness hormones. And so these are very exciting new medications that we're hoping will help the body, a bit more naturally than, say, the benzodiazepines or any of those types of medications. And we're finding that they seem to be very useful in people who have only just developed a sleep problem or haven't been using these other medications for long periods of time. So again, we're getting some new tools in our tool chest as far as medications go that are a bit more gentle and aimed more at the kind of natural sleep rhythm, if you like. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So lots of great things, I think, there for sleep. And, if you have any questions, if there's anything you'd like us to talk about in relation to sleep, please do either email us or leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you because, this is one of those topics, again, that affects all of us at one point or other in our lives. And as Laura said, it's so important for our health and well-being. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.